Meghan would be unwilling to move back to the UK, apparently, because she couldn't handle curtsying to Kate. Now, this is according to the royal journalist Andrew Morton. Biographer says that the Sussexes now have their own lives in California with their own social set and their own companies. But Harry will have to drag himself away from Montecito this very week as he returns to the UK on Thursday to host a charity awards ceremony on what happens to be the eve of the first anniversary of his grandmother's death. Well, there hasn't been any indication that the Duke will meet with family members to mark that anniversary. Meghan is not expected to join her husband here, taking any curtsying issues off the table, but she is believed to be flying to Dusseldorf this weekend, where Harry will be hosting the Invictus Games. Now, his new Netflix documentary, Heart of Invictus, which premiered last week, has been branded a flop because it failed to make the site's top 10 in the UK or the US. It was part of the couple's £80 million deal with the streaming giant, but after reports their lack of productivity left executives underwhelmed, could that deal with Netflix be on shaky ground? So there are a few royal stories doing the rounds. I don't particularly put much emphasis on this story that Meghan wouldn't come back here because she couldn't handle curtsying to Kate. I think that's probably one of the least reasons that she wouldn't come back, and the last reason she wouldn't come back here. I don't think there's any thought that they would come back either together or separately. I think they are very happy, Harry and Meghan, in Montecito, and Meghan, clearly doesn't want to be part of the royal set. I mean, just on a point of accuracy, she wouldn't have to curtsy to Kate yet. She would have to curtsy to Kate when Kate becomes the Queen. So it's a bit of a non-story in that way. The Netflix thing, I think, is a real shame.
I don't think she'll ever step foot in this country again.
I agree with you, Kevin.
It's all about curtsying. She doesn't like the royal family. The royal family don't like her. Britain's fallen out of love with her.
Not all of Britain.
She doesn't feel that welcome. I just think it's quite clear. Look at this weekend. He's 90 minutes away. She goes to Dusseldorf. She could be with him. She could have been with him for his court drama recently. She could have been with him.
She would have been at the centre of an absolute.
What I'm saying, no, I mean, I'm not don't want to get in a row about what her motives are, but I do think, because I don't care. But I do think she has decided never to step foot in this country again.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Nothing to do with curtsying, just doesn't want to.
Yeah, I think the curtsying is a non-story, but I think the other aspects to it, when you have a look at the Netflix documentary and the fact that it hasn't charted and rated, I think, we saw all these numbers, and I think, maybe us from our privileged position of seeing what happens within media companies, we understand, that content is king, and particularly when it comes to the royal family. We know that he and Meghan have been box office when they start revealing stuff that maybe they shouldn't. There's no 105-year rule there. All sorts of things have come to the fore that never needed to, but they did, and people lapped it up. Whereas I think them as people, are they that interesting? To some, maybe. But I think, there's great, gazillions of pounds being thrown at them for all this stuff. I think the only reason that the companies did that is because they expected to either have and receive more dirt. There wasn't much dirt other than one or two bits of whinging in the Invictus documentary. And, it's a great story. It's a great charity that does extraordinary work that he was really involved in starting. But is it a compelling, exciting story that everybody around the world wants to hear and see? No.
So the Invictus Invictus isn't really about Harry at all. It's more about the soldiers and veterans that he's helping. But I'll be frank, they were paid a record amount of money by Netflix to do this documentary series of more than just one or two documentaries. The first documentary was so successful, even if the next two documentaries that they come out with
go on about
flop,
that, don't you? Yeah.
Even if the next two flop also, the first one was successful enough.
But
they've got the cash. And whether it flops or not, they made enough success from the first one alone that Netflix are still going to be OK with it. Of course, they'd like to have had everything they do be more successful. But we're saying it didn't do very well, the Invictus Games one, but it's not done as well as the first.
It never would do well, though, because, I mean, it's a shame, and I wouldn't want to denigrate this project or the fantastic Invictus Games and the brave people who take part in it and the great work that Harry does for it. But, in terms of a commercial production, I think this is a bit too worthy and a bit too heavy going.
Yeah, that's the
problem. It's a shame, but it's a commercial fact.
But that's the reality.
Always doomed not to do that well.
Documentaries like this, just wouldn't come in the top 10 on Netflix.
Exactly. No, I agree with you.
Documentaries would have to be like suspenseful, murder, true crime stuff. It just was never going to be. You'll be the next one.
I honestly thought it was going to be like a Crypto Factor style thing where we're going to literally see the people competing and we're going to have like a leaderboard and stuff each episode. And when it came out and it was actually, we're going to learn about their stories, I was I was like, I don't really want to watch that.
Oh, you don't have a heart, but you like sport.
I love sport.
There we go.
Give me sport.
Not women's sport, though.
Not women. Oh.
Oh, my goodness, right.
Wow.
On that note, coming up,